Welcome to the Exploring New England podcast with Ryan Zipp, where each week I will be talking about what makes this historic region such an amazing place to enjoy. From the scenic views to road trip ideas to where to grab the best eats and much more. Let's get going. Hello and welcome to episode 20 of the Exploring New England podcast with me, Ryan Zipp. This episode kind of marks a bit of a milestone, I guess you could say. I had the idea of doing a podcast I'd say at least 4 years ago, and had always been there on the idea list of mine with a lot of things that I want to do, but don't always have the time and, energy to be able to fit in. But this past March, I decided just to go for it, hop in. Bought the microphone and, lighting, and then used what else I had to get going, and figured I'd just hop in. And, here we are 20 weeks later, 20 episodes in. And, I can't thank all you guys enough for tuning in every week and all the support you've given me. And, a few things when I was reading about podcasts, and I've just, seen a couple times is of all the podcasts that get started, 90% of them quit after the third episode. And the even crazier stat is to make it through and publish 20 episodes, it's only 1% of the total podcasts that start. So here we are now hitting that milestone and being in that, top 1% as far as, podcasts that make it as far as we have. So just very cool. And I've really enjoyed it. I see it as like an extension of me online on social media as a photographer, traveler around New England, and so forth. Just, besides seeing my images, what I create, the stories behind them, but being able to listen and hear me firsthand talk about, recent trips I went on, old trips, ideas of, what I'm planning coming up, and hopefully inspiring you guys to, get out there as well. And, if you're not in New England, or you just at the moment can't get out there yourself, I've had people tell me how much they just enjoy listening in, and, take some kind of distracts them for half hour or whatever every week, listening to what I've had going on. And, a number of other people told me they, enjoy listening every week to come up with new ideas. They'll hit pause to take down notes and just kind of use it for adventures of their own. So just really happy with how it's gone so far. And again, can't thank everybody enough for the support. And, the way it's kind of been formatted for a while is I kind of, I'll talk about what I did since the last episode, basically, and then, foreshadow or just highlight some upcoming things to keep an eye on, start planning and such. So I feel like that's been going well. Let me know through any channel, if any other ideas or kind of input you guys have of what you'd like to see from me. But it's felt pretty kind of original and not forced in any shape or form. And I hope that comes through already before I started this, because most of you follow me on social media, especially Instagram, and how much I just truly love traveling around New England with my camera and always experiencing new places and new scenes. And it's something I'd enjoy doing, if I had 0 followers and was just doing it for the enjoyment of it. So it's been a great ride, and basically kind of turning this into my main passion since 2017, I guess you could say. So the last 7 years, it's been a great journey, and excited to see where the next 7 years will take me. And in that regard, this past weekend I did not go anywhere. It was one of the rare stretches of time off I had from my store, and I wasn't out making the most of it, bouncing around. It was nice, though, every once in a while to kind of just reset and actually relax a little bit. Also caught up on some of the boring home things, cleaning, mowing the lawn, etc. right before Yellow Jacket came out and stung me. But luckily it was just one, and I was basically done with the yard, so have to deal with that coming up, finding where those guys are. They're a tad aggressive when you go anywhere near them. But another reason why I kind of planned out to, stay home, it had been 6 weeks since the last time I stayed home. It's just been a nonstop scramble, but I love it and wouldn't change any of that. Um, there was a concert, and if you'd watched or listened to the first episode, or just know me in general before I got back into photography, my main creative passion for 20 plus years was playing music and playing in bands. And my best friend and the singer of the last band, Beach Avenue, I was in, Nick, he had a show. He was the headliner at a big outdoor festival on the coast here in Connecticut in West Haven. So, and other Nick, Abraham, who played in Beach Avenue as well, will be playing with him. Nick's dad, we all played with. Nikki Belmore, who I grew up with, owns a studio and recorded a lot of the end of the Beach Ave stuff and a bunch of Nick stuff. He was playing drums with Nick, and he only does a handful of shows a year and a few other guys. So I wanted to go down and just basically hang out and enjoy the vibes, kind of relive some the old memories down that way. We actually lived in a house in West Haven for 3 years, the three of us, actually, and Nikki, so 4 of us. So it was kind of special that he had a show there as well. And then talking before the show, we had kind of half joked about it, but more about me going up to play a song on drums. I hadn't picked up a pair of drumsticks in 6 years to hit a single drum or anything. Kind of sailed off and have my 20 years in and loved every second of it, and do miss it sometimes. But the photography obviously keeps me plenty busy creatively and artistically. But we decided that would come up during the set and play our song "Coming Your Way," the one we did on America's Got Talent 10 years ago now. So it was crazy. Again, I haven't played it in 6+ years, but we kind of went over the structure quick. It's it's like riding a bike, one of those things, you do it for so long. But yeah, the first time I played drums in forever, hopped up on stage and in front of just thousands of people out there and played through the song and didn't make a mistake, luckily. And it was cool. It was, only up there for about 4 minutes, but at the same time it felt a lot longer, and just brought back a bunch of memories, looking around at the guys I'd shared a stage with so many times all over the place, all over the country, and a lot of smiles, and it was cool. So definitely grateful for that. Just something that happened kind of organically and last minute. So it was a good weekend home. Had a nice rainy Monday morning to relax in the house a little bit. Things like that don't usually line up. So it was a good recharge weekend, and definitely, as much as I loved it, it got me motivated to be planning. So I've been planning stuff for like August, September, and even into the first few weeks of October. We're basically half done with summer, however you look at it. But fall, chasing foliage isn't that far away, which is nuts. It's like 9 weeks away or something like that, 8-9 weeks depending. So I'll have some stuff leading up to that with some ideas for fall foliage trips, and some rough guesswork as far as dates. It's really hard to tell, even people who are way up on it. My buddy Jim, he does the foliage predictions for Yankee Magazine, so I'm gonna talk to him when he has some early predictions, maybe even kind of have him on an episode of this or in some other shape or form. Haven't kind of decided yet, but excited for that for the fall, because that is like, for photographers and a lot of other people alike, it really is like literal Christmas time here in New England before actual Christmas. But there's nothing like fall foliage in New England. But it's hard to know. Last year was kind of an off year. It was a down year, so we're hoping that this year is going to be something more to average year or better. But I'll take a good old fashioned run of the mill fall foliage year. So there's a lot of excitement to look forward to. Have a number of places and spots rest of summer on my checklist to get to, so I'll be posting stuff from there, and including them on upcoming episodes, of course. So I was trying to think of what to talk about in terms of like topic and location, and since I didn't do a trip last week, and thought back to last summer, it's like the 3rd week in July, I made a trip up to this tiny island off the coast of Maine called Monhegan Island. And I'd heard about it, seen photos from it. Other people and photographers had gone there, and just always seemed like such an amazing vibe. And it's 12 nautical miles off the coast of Maine. out towards like Booth Bay Harbor area, up in that mid coast Maine area. And when I say tiny island, I mean the island itself isn't that big, but I think there's the last census was 64 official residents for population. Not sure how many of those are there for the whole year or not. I think that was as of 2020. And they didn't used to have cars at all. There's a few vehicles on the island for people that live there, golf carts and such. The mail truck is just like a pickup truck. But you can't bring a car over. So basically you go over on a little ferry, either out of Booth Bay Harbor, New Harbor, or Port Clyde. Port Clyde is where I went out of. So I did go up there the night before and stayed in a hotel right there on Port Clyde. That way I'd be close by for the ferry over in the morning. And it was just about, I think it was just about an hour, give or take, the ferry. And you're on a smaller ferry, so it's definitely not like one you've taken over to Block Island or Nantucket or the Vineyard. It's a lot more smaller and low key, and there's not like big crews. There's no one like kind of waiting for you when you arrive there or anything. And this was like the third or fourth trip I did with Visit Maine. So it's fun to do these. I try to do like one a year at least with them, just to kind of promote, obviously, travel to Maine, and also, kind of let me do a cool trip to somewhere different. And, I talked to them, and they were like, we don't have much content from Monhegan, so it sounds like a great idea to us. So they basically kind of sponsored me out there. And I stayed at the Island Inn, which is actually, it's the kind of the first, when you get off the ferry. Like I said, there's no crew waiting there for you. So you just kind of get off and bring all your baggage out. And as you look up the hill there, the Island Inn is right there, kind of to the right center. It's a beautiful old building, and obviously looking back out at the harbor and the water there. So that's where I was going to be staying. I believe there's like at least six different inns and B&Bs there on the island. Obviously there's some house rentals, Airbnbs and such, but as far as like staffed inns, I believe there's at least 6 of them the last I checked. And the Island Inn is one of the oldest. There's another one called the Monhegan House. That's actually been going slightly longer. That's another one of the larger sized ones. So you have options to go. Obviously, a lot of people just go there as a day trip. So take an early ferry over, enjoy the island for the day, take a late ferry back. And you could do that out of those same places, like I said, Booth Bay Harbor, which is a real popular spot up there and great area to just go. So you could always incorporate it in, do Booth Bay Harbor for like 3 nights or however long you can get to. And then one of those days, just take the ferry out and take the ferry back. So you can kind of do a Booth Bay Harbor and Monhegan Island tour as a day trip. Obviously, an overnight, you could still stay there at Booth Bay and then, stay over one night, which is always a lot nicer because you get a lot more, I think, when you could do even one overnight, however you want to do it. But day trips happen and overnights. And as I met people there, a lot of people there to stay for the week. And, there was a good number of people who seemed like they just at this point book that week every year. So they come back and they end up like knowing a lot of people there. And definitely a cool vibe about it. The history behind the island, I believe I read it was started as like a fishing camp for the British in the 1600s. Then over the next couple hundred years, it was caught between New England and New France because it was like a fishing trade center. So a lot of who owns it, who's running it, who's making use of it, I guess. Then during the French and Indian War, that kind of brought some peace, and then it was later established in 1839 officially. And one of the things, besides being known as this like fishing island, since the late 1800s, it started becoming known as an established artist colony as well, which to this day is still a big vibe there. And as I was walking around throughout, there'd be just a number of people with easels up everywhere, kind of sides of streets, by the water, just set up painting. And I know there's a number of painting workshops that go on there. So people go there in groups and obviously stay at the inns and have workshops with artists. And, there is actually, I believe, one or two galleries there, 1 or 2 little stores, not much, but so it's, real, coastline, rocky, working harbor, fishing island, and then also has this really cool artistic component to it as well. So, besides the painters, people go there for that. It's a photographer showcase as well. Some photographers I know do lead workshops there, and this was me getting there for the first time with my camera and just being there solo. So it was a great way to experience it. The ferry, like I said, it was just about an hour out of Port Clyde. And I took I believe it was Sunday morning, took the morning ferry over, got in and dropped the bags off. My room wasn't ready yet, so kind of just took the cameras and just started wandering around the island, just taking in some of the views. And everywhere you turned, it was another composition. So I spent a lot of time just hammering off photos, and I knew I would be taking a lot of shots and hope for some different conditions throughout, because didn't know when I'd be back again. So it's nice when you can get a scene of light on it, a scene a little more moody, and so on, since it's not one you could just get back to real easy. Made my way down, and there's not a lot of place to eat on the island. There is a handful. I'll go over them throughout this little recap. But one spot, so I made it over for lunch. It was called the Fish House, and going to order a lot of seafood options, obviously, and then just some kind of tables there right by little sandy area and the water. So views top notch. And another thing about Monhegan is every restaurant establishment there is BYOB. So basically, show up with a cooler. You could bring with you from the mainland. People were bringing over cases of wine, and there is a spot where you can buy some limited beer and other things there. There's like a little store when you come off the ferry, and but yeah, so every meal you go to, you could break out whatever you want as far as alcohol. So again, that just kind of added to this like laid back vibe of the whole thing. For that first lunch, I got this fresh Maine crab taco, all shredded. It was very good. Tasted amazing. And again, you're just sitting there by the water. So the vibes were really strong there for every meal throughout, as you'll hear me recap probably and get into it like I always do with food. And, a lot of times, like I say, it's not just the food, it's where you're enjoying it. And this, they kept hitting on both angles there. So after that, I kind of moseyed a little bit and then made my way back to the room because my room was ready at the hotel. So officially checked in, just scoped it out. Room was nice, had my own bathroom. I know a lot of the options there have shared bathrooms. So if you are staying over, you have to just make sure, do you want to pay a little extra or get a room with your own bathroom, and so on. Then after that, kind of, walked around a little bit more, and then forecast kind of called for a rainy afternoon, early evening. So I had to pick dinner that night. I was eating at the Island Inn. They have a great restaurant as well. I believe you can eat there even if you're not staying there. But I went with the surf and turf, decided to treat myself. That's a common theme, I guess, if you've been listening. So I had dinner there, and I booked an earlier dinner time around like 6:30 because it looked like it might clear up. So I wanted to be available to go shoot. So had dinner there. It was amazing. Then made my way out and just kind of walked around, taking more photos with the camera, and didn't get any kind of like sunset that night, but it stopped raining. And that's when I made my first appearance. This, I don't know, not really call it a pop-up dessert shop. And this woman there who runs the B&B, she made this pop-up event called Night Night Fatties. And basically every day she makes a handful of desserts, whatever she's in the mood to make, and has it all ready. And when it hits a certain time, she opens the door to just anyone on the island. And, this is $4, this is $5, this is $6. So it's brownies, cake, pie, everything. And you just, as you get there, and then things kind of whittle down, and then, you get whatever's left at that point. So, but just a really cool vibe, again, something you just don't see many places. And it was really cool. Forgot what I grabbed that first night. Was it red velvet or something? I forget. But I did try it both nights. I kind of had to. How could you not experience something like that? Plus the name was ridiculously awesome as well. And before this year, she actually purchased the Monhegan House, which is the oldest operating inn there. and much larger from her B&B. So she had been planning that for a while. So now she's operating that, and I believe running the Night Night Fatties out of there now. So if you do go, make sure you track that down and definitely experience it. Well, she starts like 5 p.m. or something. I know online it has all the info of these if I'm not, specific with certain things. So that was a great way to end it. And while it was raining actually, and that's why I love the Island Inn where I stayed. There's like a covered porch, and they had like rocking chairs and different chairs. So basically you're just relaxing there looking out, and it looked like something out of like almost like part of Europe or parts of Canada. Just had a little different kind of overall look to the scene there, like misty, foggy with green. There's like a tiny little island next to Monhegan. There's like one house on, not much there, and just provides another, element in the scene with boats in the harbor below. But yeah, it was one of those spots where, so if it does rain when you're there, you just sit there and with a book or whatever you want to do and relax. So it's hard to go wrong. So I definitely enjoyed my stay at the Island Inn. I'm sure you'd enjoy a stay anywhere there, but I'd stay there again, even just for that porch to have access to that. If it does rain or if you're just tired from walking around. The next morning I woke up, it was foggy again. There was no sunrise. I had breakfast at the inn. They provided breakfast both mornings, which was great, like blueberry pancakes, eggs, all that stuff. After breakfast, the sun did burn through a bit, so I actually had some light for the first time. Did the hike up to the lighthouse there. Lighthouse, I think originally they built one in 1824. Had to be rebuilt like many in 1850, and that's the current structure, I believe, to this day. And it's cool. It's like the highest part of the island, I believe. So when you're up there, you're looking down at like some of the houses and the harbor. So really cool view. Seen some great shots from other photographers there. I didn't have any kind of, standout lighting or conditions when I was up there, but grabbed some shots, obviously, to have. I'd walk up there another time or two. Good little workout too, just up the elevation. Also another cool thing, one of the stores I was telling you where you can grab, I believe they have some canned, alcohol. I forget if they had wine or not, but other drinks, sodas, sandwiches, soups, salads, cookies, chips. It's called the Barnacle, and that was like right when you get off the ferry. They also have an actual espresso machine, which was nice. So here you are on this tiny island, and I was able to get my mocha lattes in the morning, and it was pretty darn good, I gotta say. So I think it was better than any mocha latte I've ever had in Boston. I don't know why I've never gotten one I've really liked. There's some decent ones, but this one was really good. There is an actual spot, the Monhegan Coffee Roasters, so a little coffee shop there, but it was closed the days I was there. So both days I went to the Barnacle there for coffee, and it was really good. Then I ended up making my way over. So there's like, I think around 12 miles total of hiking trails there, I believe I read, all around edge of the island, rocky coastal views. It's kind of raining on and off, wet. I was there solo, and I didn't have a lot of time, so I didn't do too much hiking. But I did do the short half-mile hike out Lobster Cove Trail. And when you get out to the end of that, obviously you have the water coast, but you also have remains of this old shipwreck. I believe it was 1948 when that it was a tugboat named the DT Sheridan and came aground there. And I think it was 4 passengers on it. Luckily, they all survived and were kind of rescued. But the tugboat never made it out, and the remains of it are still there to this day. So that was really cool to check out. A good amount of people had kind of hiked out there. Then not far, you actually had to pass it to get to the trail. There's actually a small brewery there called the Monhegan Brewing Company. As you can see, I'm wearing the shirt. But yeah, so they actually brew, a handful of different beers on the island there. They're open for a good chunk of the year. I forget the exact dates. And then I think started in 2022, they have a food truck as well. So they had a bunch of fried food items. I had some fried clams and fries, and they were actually really good. Some of the other people that I had become friends with who were staying with me at the Island Inn, they were over there having some drinks and food, so I sat with them. I think there was some live music going on. But yeah, just a really cool spot, and just the fact that there's like an actual operating brewery on this tiny island made it even cooler. So if you're into breweries, different beers like that in unique spots, a destination to kind of head out and just enjoy all these different vibes at. And obviously the fact that it's BYOB everywhere, it's, you could bring whatever you want and you always know you'll have what you'd like to drink no matter where you go. So again, just a lot of walking around, and it's the kind of place where you could take your own pace with it. A lot of people, hiked like crazy. Others just kind of relaxed a lot. I tried to do a happy medium of both. I headed back to the fish house for dinner that night. I had to grab a lobster roll, and it was actually really good. Like, not surprising, but you never know. But prepared really well. I think it had like a light coating of mayo, melted butter on the side. So when it comes to that fresh northern, mid-coast and northern Maine lobster, that's really all you need, and it was awesome. Then, went back and got dessert then at Night Fatties, and then didn't have like a crazy sunset that night, but a good amount of color came through, so I had fun playing around with some different scenes there that had cool pinkish glow in the sky, and some of the scenes that I had really enjoyed, throughout the 24 hours plus I was there. I went back to get with this lighting if I could. So definitely got some keepers, some photos I'm happy with there, and couldn't have asked for better stay. I stayed 2 nights out there. The last morning I woke up again and there was no sunset, more fog, but I kind of liked the vibes of all those photos, so wasn't really any complaints for me. And the last thing on the food thing, I'd seen from the first day I got there this like little cart, like white and blue, I think it was like, and it was called the Palette Creperie, and there was a guy making crepes. He might have had some other stuff as well, and I wanted to try it, but I was trying to fit it in with my eating schedule because I wanted to try literally everything, but I didn't want to throw anything off. And then when it would work, I'd go by and he had like a long line, which I was happy for, but it just didn't end up working out. So after I had checked out of the room, had a little time, and I wanted to grab one before getting on the ferry. So I walked by and he was laughing. He was like, "I thought you were never going to come get one. You kept walking by." And I said, "Well, I wanted to, but I was happy to see you were busy." And, I was definitely getting one before. So really nice guy. Not sure when he started, if it was last year or the year before, but if you go, definitely check it out. I got a strawberry Nutella crepe, and it was really good, and basically enjoyed it the walk down the ferry and finished it not long before I got back on. And then I, took the boat back to Port Clyde before starting the journey home back to Connecticut. So just a quick kind of recap. That's what I did. And whether or not you're a photographer, painter, you just enjoy New England and coastal New England and Maine, I'd say it's a great thing to check out. Monhegan Island, Google it. They have like a little tourist page, gives you a little rundown. And I'll probably be posting some photos and recaps on my Instagram over the next week, since I'm talking about it on the episode here. So keep an eye out for all that. And we'll see what other, there's a few other islands in Maine I haven't gotten to. Like to try to do that, the next year or so as well. And, I'm always in that struggle of going back to places I love and checking out new places as well. So it's a happy medium. I try to find that balance. And yeah, I'm excited to see where else I get to this summer. Have some that I'm kind of penciling in. And like I said, working on fall stuff as well already. So that's it for episode 20. And like I said, we've made it to the 1% of podcasts that make it 20 episodes. So can't thank you guys enough for being here with me and supporting and going on this journey with me, and can't wait to see what we do the next 20. So have a great week, and I'll see you guys next week.